Welcome to Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and I have for you today in the queue 8 stories, as normal for a Friday from the past day, Thursday, bit about U.S. conversation, covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. This may be sort of a lighter news day because we overhyped and overdid some of the other stories this week, to be honest. And so we'll kind of get a couple things in there. Plus, we'll have a little bit of discussion on how taking a slight break. We're going to not have this show for next week, taking some time off for Thanksgiving. It's good news, actually. So we have a chance to take a break after a milestone. We'll explain that at the end of the headlines, and we get to the teaser section on how to get more stories in, because we won't be teasing stories specifically next week. We'll still be posting stories, but not so much teasing them for the next day. But if you want to find out more about us in general, go to our website, thisistheconversationproject.com, and email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Don't forget about, you can't forget about it because I ain't got to them yet. Rachel Maddow, Netflix, and the Powerpuff Girls are in the queue today, plus 5 other stories. No particular order as they're being presented, but we will let you know because I haven't said it yet. I did say we're taking off next week because it's Thanksgiving week, but it is today, Friday, November 22nd, 2024. Let's get into the headlines because they're kind of cool. And I really want to get to the Powerpuff Girls. I want to get to them as quickly as possible. They're the last story, so I got to get through everything else first. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Well, the reason why Matt Gaetz is not an actual part of the teaser issue because the story is not about him per se. It's actually about Pam Bondi. Trump picks a different Florida loyalist for Attorney General, Pat Bondi. Matt Gaetz wrote a letter to Congress, to the House, basically saying that after being seen as a distraction for President Donald Trump's new administration trying to get on as the Attorney General, he's bowing out of it officially. He's taking his name out of the ring. His name's out of the hat. Bam. No more Matt Gaetz to kick around. Maybe. However, we still need to fill this spot. And former President Donald Trump, and soon to be again President Donald Trump, is going to look to Pat Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, as a nominee for the U.S. Attorney General position. Bondi is a longtime Trump ally and gained national attention for her outspoken defense of Trump during his impeachment trial and her prominent role in the 2020 re-election campaign, i.e., the election was stolen. It should go to Trump. She said those words, and now she will be your Attorney General. Maybe. She served as a Florida Attorney General from 2011 to 2019, and where she became known for her strong conservative stances on legal and political issues. Her selection signals Trump's continued preference to loyalists in key cabinet positions, folks that will answer to him without any problem and not answer to, the law or precedents or what the people want. Critics point that her controversial history, including scrutiny over campaign contributions tied to Trump's business dealings, may be an issue. It may be a hindrance, but if confirmed, Bondi expected to align with Trump's legal agenda, including a focus on immigration enforcement and federal oversight rollbacks. We, as we say a lot here, will just have to see. We've talked a lot about these two guys, Ramaswamy and Musk, and I can't find the right one for Musk, but I'm just thinking Sinestro in this picture. This was just a very bad picture of Ramaswamy, and it just happened to come up, so we're using it because we're petty like that. But Musk and Ramaswamy are actually doing real work, or want to do real work. They are floating the idea that remote work is going to be done for federal employees, and large-scale firings are coming as well. Their new DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is looking to save some money, kill some fat, do some things like that. And because these are businessmen, the first thing you do in a business when you have to trim the fat is literally trim the fat and get rid of people. Now, sometimes it's a fairness thing because you don't have enough to support what's going on and you have to actually fire folks because you really can't keep them. Sometimes it's really just a way to get more money on the books. If you're paying less people a salary, this is money that's going out to no place as opposed to paying people or paying something that is an investment. So that's what's looking like for the DOGE crew. Remote work will be basically done away with for all sorts of folks in government work, and some big layoffs happening to many agencies that are over redundant. Now, as a person who worked in the government, worked in the military and things like that, redundancy is a not so great thing, but it's a thing that's built into a bureaucracy that is the government. The government needs people to be around when you're not around because they need some folks to kind of stick around. But how many people do they need? How many people do they need? That's a good question. So some layoffs, some trimming may be of use. It may be mean something. Mass layoffs, significant layoffs, a lot of that's just mean talk for business people to just get rid of folks for a lot of times no reasons. We're going to see what happens, and the people they get rid of are, actually turn out to be important. And the people that they don't let work at home actually get more stuff done and cost them less because of commute times, things like that. The big thing is when you pay all this rent for these buildings, people need to be in them. So you could just have less buildings. That is a thought. Another thought brought about by the International Criminal Court is that they should arrest, lock up, put in jail, show crimes for Netanyahu and Gallant. Now, these two people, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the former Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, are being cited with war crimes and crimes against humanity for recent military attacks. Them being how they're handling their action in Gaza. Essentially, they were attacked and they have retaliated, but they retaliated with so much bad intent, essentially trying to starve out children to win a war. And where a lot of people believe that Benjamin Netanyahu would basically kill all Palestinians if he got the green light, which people believe Trump will give him a green light to do that. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for these two people. And if they were to show up in a nation that was governed by this treaty, they could be arrested and they could be prosecuted there. The ICC has no actual power other than to say, these folks are bad. Why don't you go take care of them? Ironically, or coincidentally, Israel, who won't arrest them anyway, and they probably wish they could, and the United States, who won't arrest them anyway, and some maybe wish they could as well, can't do anything or won't do anything because they're not a part of the ICC. They're not bound by the laws because, frankly, they just kind of point fingers at all sorts of people, and they're kind of like, yeah, maybe not. Of course, we, of course, indict people and put up warrants and things for folks as well, where we know they're not showing up here because, it's all theater, it's all saber rattling, all that stuff like that. But this is a big deal. Many people are not happy with the way the Israelis are handling this thing. And it's really not the Israelis. It's Benjamin Netanyahu himself who is handling these things, because it seems like, this may sound familiar, a guy in charge during wartime, keeping things going, keeping the war effort is in check, will probably have less people scrutinizing him and trying to put him in jail for fraud. You may have heard that tale before somewhere around these parts. Maybe. Nothing's going to happen from this, although it does limit the travel plans for both these people because they go to a nation that actually would actually, fall in line with this report. They could be arrested and could be charged in that nation, not by the ICC, not by the Hague, not by any sort of real court, but by, those real court, not by a nationalized court or a world court, just by the local court. So Zimbabwe, he could pick him up and try him if they want to. They could try him. They could try. Oh, they could try. And now we're officially in the piling on section of the crew of the show. As we pile on to the crew, that's an MSNBC. We've talked about Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. They're not Joe. It's not Joe Brzezinski. Well, sometimes it seems like that. Joe and Mika from Morning Joe traveling to talk to Donald Trump to reestablish communications after they basically called him the fascist 2 weeks ago. And now they want to, have him on the show. We'll see if they have him on the show. Meanwhile, with the new news that Comcast is going to roll out and split many of its cable channels into some other thing and literally split the NBC, the news, and the MSNBC and CNBC news programs, a lot of people are worried about MSNBC even more because, one, the news gathering is all symbiotic. They share the resources. And two, what are going to do if they go all left, all liberal, all crazy, and they have to change their name and take the NBC out of it and not have that affiliation? Rachel Maddow is rumored to be losing some money. Now, we never know how these things are going. Now, the headline we posted, because it was rather cheeky from the Post, New York Post, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow's salary reportedly cut by $5 million despite being ratings Viagra. That's a quote. As parent company Comcast deals with difficult time. Another quote. We've talked about CNN, who is not offering big raises to many folks, and of course, offered a big cut to Chris Wallace, who said, you know what, I'll do this internet thing. If I'm going to get less money, I'll do it on my own, which is fine. Wolf Blitzer not getting a raise. Anderson Cooper not getting a raise. I'm not sure what to do with Caitlin Collins these days. So let's beat up on MSNBC for a little bit, if you give me a moment, please. So the big names at MSNBC, which basically all the pundits are saying, it's essentially all chatter. There is some news today, but a lot of the news is actually wrapped up with the NBC correspondents going back and forth in the day parts, and the night parts and the other sections are essentially just commentary, which can be easily done without a lot of correspondence. But without the ratings draw, essentially everybody's pulling away after Trump won the election 2.5, 3 weeks ago. It's a big deal. Now, we may be a bit in panic mode because it's only been a few weeks. We're not actually in January. We're not actually in the next administration yet. We're not seeing how the coverage is going to cover Mr. Trump, who will be President Trump officially again about 5 weeks. But for the big news is the fact that the financial struggles on MSNBC were already known there. She was making about $30 million annually with her contract. Plus, she only works 1 day a week in most times. Election coverage was a big deal, but she only works 1 day, plus has podcast deals and things on the side. Cutting $5 million is not going to hurt. I wish I could say something like that on my end. Cutting a good 15% of my salary would not hurt at all. But in the meantime, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for the company that they have to be public, although people aren't. This is sort of rumor, innuendo. And it's a bad look for the company that this is going on. This is happening. Will MSNBC survive? Will any of them survive? Will they survive the media landscape that is right now? Because linear TV is declining and only old people, since you watch it. Now that I'm old, I'm the guy watching it. We shall see. We will see how life works on without us. I'm sure it'll go on fine, as we're not going to produce this program for about a week. We're going to take the week off. We'll produce the weekly wrap up, and we'll do some news hits, some short clips, things here, there, as things a lot. We're not going to do the full days of work of stuff, but we are going to post to the feeds pretty consistently, because we're going to do that to keep track of stuff, so we can have something next week to stay consistent with that one for our yearly wrap up coming soon. But just because we're not doing this next week, we are doing things next week, and there's plenty of things in the queue in the back that you can check out that are evergreen or people are getting a hold to in the past days. So we still need you to help us out, get more people in the review while we're sort of, taking some time off and relaxing and chilling and just regrouping. We'll explain more in the promo time of why we have this decision and why it's a great time to do this. But right now, asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the work we do. Like the videos we're producing, like the audios you're hearing on your clips, either in YouTube, on YouTube Music, or on regular podcast catchers, and like the email newsletter, or subscribe to it. We'll get that in a second. Share with other folks who engage in news like you do, or engage in news like this you believe that will enjoy it. We'll do our best to give you news stories that are definitely off the beaten path and definitely different perspectives that are out there. Yesterday, I got duped into a couple satire ones because I was a little distracted. And so people engaged and laughed at me, but laughed along with the stories as well. But share with people who enjoy those types of stories, because it's all about conversation. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe, so that when we come back in full force with things you might have heard in 2 weeks, you will see us back in your feed, and you can watch us live when we go live at 5:50 a.m. or watch it whenever you get ready to. We know from our research, we know from our stats, that people that watch our stuff, people that are in our audience, don't tune into things until about 15 minutes after we're done with the show. So this goes on at 5:30. We're done about 6, and about 6:15 we start seeing where people actually start pinging on things going forward. In the update, maybe we'll see more of those early things, but we'll get to that in a minute. We want you to like, share, and subscribe. We will be taking off next week for things you might have heard, but we should have things you might ought to know. We're going to pre-tape a lot of those, and we are going to give you more updates, news cuts as they come through, more or less phone hits as they come through. You knew this was coming. Everyone knew this was coming. Anyone who didn't know it was coming might have been Mike Tyson on a slow night, because Netflix was now hit, has been hit, will be hit. $50 million class action lawsuit over Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight and the streaming glitches that it was. Not over the fact that the fight may have been fixed. The fact that the fight itself and the presentation had streaming glitches that disrupted the live broadcast of the highly anticipated Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing match. Fans who paid to watch the bout reported widespread issues, including buffering, crashes, complete service interruptions during the event. There are many times when you got Nessa saying, you should go check your internet. And people are like, no, my internet's fine. You should go check your internet, Netflix, because it was Netflix's fault. The lawsuit is filed by a group of dissatisfied viewers, alleges that Netflix failed to deliver the seamless streaming experience it promised, leaving many unable to watch the fight they paid for. The plaintiffs claim Netflix failure constitutes a breach of contract and deceptive trade practices. I think that sounds pretty valid. The fight marked Netflix's first venue into live sports streaming, a move that aimed to compete with platforms like ESPN Plus and DAZN, D-A-Z-N, but they couldn't get it done. And they also have more live things coming, which are up for threat, because once you see a big event go bad like this, you worry what happens the next time. They've yet to release a statement via Netflix on what has happened, how they're going to fix it, and if they're paying money back anyway. I'm not sure how we're going to get into this. Basically, I'm sure we'll start seeing commercials for, if you were harmed by a Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight and want to get retribution, join this class action lawsuit out of Delaware, and mesothelioma and all those things like that, and mesh things. It'll be all sorts of nastiness and all sorts of craziness in commercials to get people into this class action lawsuit, because essentially we all get $50 million, and of the 50 million people who watched it, we all get $1 because you split it 50 million ways. So don't expect to get a big payday, but expect some punishment. 5 million is not that much, but some punishment to Netflix and justice, I guess. Let's move on to a batch of justice that may never be reclaimed. Here's a story all about how one family's life got flipped, turned upside down when a dad decided was going to leave his family, and did it by faking his death very elaborately and costing local authorities a lot of money and time to try to find him, only to find he's living in some undisclosed bunker in Eastern Europe. The dad, accused of faking his death in the staged kayak accident, sends a video that shows, I'm still alive. A man accused of faking his own death in a staged kayak accident has surfaced, sending a video that confirms he's alive. This individual, whose disappearance prompted an intense search and rescue operation, reportedly staged the accident to evade legal and financial troubles, including looming fraud charges. Video sent to local news outlets shows the man explaining his reasons for vanishing, fraud, and citing personal struggles and pressure from authorities. Authorities had earlier found inconsistencies in the circumstances of his alleged accident, leading to suspicions of foul play. I'm going to go deeper into that one in a minute, but this has sparked the law enforcement taxpayers being really, really pissed, because they spent so far around $30,000, and an actual private group, a volunteer group, came in and they were part of the search as well. Legal experts suggest that if apprehended, the man could face charges for filing false reports, obstructing justice, fraud, and all the other things that were issues before he left. Now, essentially what was happened, he went kayaking one of the deepest lakes he could find, and then he carried on with him basically a floaty thing, went out to the middle of the water. He went in the middle of the water, sank his kayak, got his floaty, went back to the land, drove a e-bike to some port, made his way to Canada, got a flight to Eastern Europe. While this is going on, or before this went on, he changed all his passwords, got himself a brand new insurance policy, so hopefully it'll pay off to his family. That's fraud. It's not going to pay off at this point. And of course, moved all his money into other accounts, all his personal money, other accounts. And he's living, for all we can tell, high off the hog in Eastern Europe with some Croatian Natasha person, I guess. This is bizarre. This is crazy. This would make one think, if I wanted to escape my life and my family, am I going to all these things to do this? The answer should probably be no. Should probably be no. That doesn't mean they're not copycats buying kayaks, going to lakes, and sinking kayaks at this moment, because life is life. What really feels like a real reminder just how old I am, because this show is literally half of my life. After 23 years on the air, Around the Horn is going to end its run in 2025. Around the Horn is a long-running sports program on ESPN, a debate show where four sports analysts get on and they debate things with a rule-based challenge based on scores, although the scores are pretty much made up as they go along. It's basically whoever the host likes that day and whoever wears the best tie. That's how it works out. It's been hosted by Tony Reali since 2004. Of course, created by Max Kellerman prior to that. And when he bolted for another network to try to do the same show someplace else, he essentially gave it to Stat Boy, who was running the show for the companion show, pardon the interruption. He is a staple of sports fans. And like I said, basically back in the day, coming in college in my young days in the workforce, as a young 20 to almost 30-year-old, this was essential afternoon watching viewing when I was there. Basically, you watch Around the Horn, get your sports in. But after 23 years, the long run is going away. Now, as far as I can tell, Pardon the interruption is not going away, so it's going to continue its life going forward. But they are looking for ways to go out with a bang. It had a pretty big special when it hit the 20-year mark to go how it's evolved and what's going on. And they're going to do some really cool things with that time slot, that half-hour slot. So the slot is still important for afternoon watchers, but after all this time, this show itself, not the big luster it is. Obviously, as a 50-year-old, I'm not watching as much as I was as a 28-year-old, but still, great show to catch when I can. And Tony Reali is a real talent doing this thing for quite some time. They've got big plans for Mr. Reali moving forward. So it's not like, don't cry for him, Argentina, but get ready for a new experience, something new for the ESPNers to watch in afternoon time slots. And the story I've been waiting all morning to get to, ThunderCats and the Powerpuff Girls launch official crossover with the best possible fight. Two iconic animated franchises, the ThunderCats and the Powerpuff Girls, are teaming up for an official crossover that fans are buzzing for. The anticipated event, the superheroes of Townsville meet the fierce warriors of Third Earth, resulting in an action-packed adventure, of course. But they must be done before bedtime because the girls have to get to sleep. Crossover will pit the ThunderCats and Powerpuff Girls against a powerful new foe, forcing the groups to unite in unique abilities and make their way to fight this battle. Tensions will rise when initial misunderstandings lead to an epic battle between Lion-O, Cheetara, and the ThunderCats versus Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. Of course, these things work out where the two heroes groups fight against each other because they don't understand what's going on, and then they ultimately team up for their shared goal to take down the tyrant. Fans are already raving about the creative blend between ThunderCats, the intense sword-wielding action, and the high-energy, colorful battles of the Powerpuff Girls. Both franchises have embraced the crossover as a celebration of legacies, with visual styles carefully adapted to complement each other. Now, we're going back to old-style ThunderCats, not the newer stuff that looks all weird and wonky. And you just can't redo the Powerpuff Girls. It not only satisfies nostalgic viewers, but introduces new folks to the franchises, a new audience to all, and it's a great milestone in animated storytelling. And guess what? I sure hope it's canon. You can't wait to see Snarf versus Mojo Jojo, and of course Bubbles staring down the evil of the ThunderCats world. Mum-Ra versus Bubbles. I paid Netflix to watch that one too, and I deal with the glitches as well. Guess what? We don't have a teaser story for today to go into Monday because we can't tease something for 2 whole weeks. So with that, we're going to do something a little bit special here. We're going to explain the teaser part and explain the feeds as we normally do, but we're going to do something a little bit special at this point. We want to remind you that what we do every single day, weekdays, weekends, all the time, is we produce news articles. Well, we publish news articles from other places. Other people do the news. We just use them to get people in. So we like you to follow us on our feeds. Our feeds happen to be on Facebook and X and Threads. Facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project, X.com/TH_Conversation, and Threads.net@This Is the Conversation. What you do at those places is look for your own things. When you check out your life and you get your buzz for going through what you want to see what we have going on there, see what's in our feed, see what stories we are posting there and what we posted all day, and engage in them because you think they're interesting stories for people to check into. Like, love, hate, share, engage, comment, whatever you do. The higher engagement you get, the better chance we have to talk about the stories. The 8 stories we talk about today were some of the top stories of yesterday. We took the top 15 or so stories from the day. We get about 30 or so stories in the daytime. Took those top 15, picked 8, and gave them to you. There was no way the Powerpuff Girls was going to be missing out on this one. I'll tell you that much. That was going to happen. And you guys loved it, and you made that happen. Thank you so much for that one. And so what we do is Monday through Friday, when we do things you might not have heard, on Monday, because we have 3 days, that's 90 stories to choose from, we take 30 stories of that and pick 10. So we have a long swath of stories that don't really get covered for the weekend, but we have only so much time to do this. The rest of the week, since it's a day, we get 8 stories for a day. So it's plenty of stuff going forward. And you pick the stories. You literally go to the feeds and see what's out there. And when I look in the morning and see what stories has some higher engagement scores, when I pull the stats, that is where I get them from. That is how I choose the stories. It's not just me saying, oh, that looks cool. It's what looks cool to the other people. That's great. These look really cool as well. Let's put these out there. It really is a democratized way of getting the stories in. We give you first dibs at what goes on, and then we basically finalize it and season it up and give it to you like that. So since we'll be gone for a week of things you might not have heard, look out for some more things that they'll probably be longer videos, but they're longer videos on news stories, but they'll probably be more or less phone hits or me with my camera from my my laptop. Although I will be testing some camera gear and some stuff over the weekend for some other projects, so we'll see what happens. Don't skimp out on us. Make sure you stay engaged with us, stay with the feed, stay engaged. We'll do some top 10s or some quick hits or some sort of listing of stories. I'll do like a Twitter listing or story. I might actually just go ahead and keep doing the newsletter. The newsletter may come out just a little later in the day. That may happen. Just no video. We'll see what happens with that one. In the meantime, as we say, follow us on our feeds. Like what we're doing. Oh, let me say that. Let me do the ad first, and then maybe officially do the promo. So the ad, one more time with feeling this week is app Sumo. And since this is the last time getting a real ad in for this thing, we want to make sure you know what's going on. Now, the app Sumo drop for Black Friday, they had 2 drops. I believe they'll have another drop today for 48 hours going forward. That will happen around 8 o'clock or so this morning. So you've got a few hours of watching this live to get in on the last drop going forward. But that just means 10% off whatever they're selling right now, which is already discounted to well below what you can expect. AppSumo offers up brand deals for websites, for tools, for things that you can use as a small business, as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur that won't break your bank, because most of these, that's a one-shop stop. The prices are literally unbeatable because they're lifetime deals. You pay for something once, you get it forever. It can work to streamline your workflow and boost your productivity, help you grow your business at fractions of the cost. And right now, because it's Black Friday, they'll have Black Friday deals all next week as well as they go into the actual Black Friday. But when they do these drops, certain items have an extra 10% off the cost of the deals. And if 10% is not a biggie, or you don't like it anyway, 60-day money-back guarantee on all AppSumo deals. So check them out at thisistheconversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is conversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is conversationproject.com/AppSumo. Get in on this deal today. Excuse me. Quick hydration break. So I'm swallowing air today. I need to get it. If you guys are going to help me out when I talk partners, maybe I get myself a vocal coach so I can stop doing that stuff. But we are looking to always invent and always improve and always go forward. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisconversationproject.com. The calls to action are many, but choose the ones that work for you at this moment. Stop by our website. You can find many things there. You can find out how we got to be in our origin story. You can find links to our sponsors, links to our partnerships page. We'll talk to you in a moment. And the biggest important thing you can do is basically free, is follow us on our feeds and email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. Now, Conversation Project is meant to be a back and forth, a conversation, a back and forth, if you will. And we're trying to do more things as I get more stuff for engagement where we can come in and show up live. Right now, as we reached our milestone is official ads on YouTube. Yay us. And with the massive $2.38 we earned on our first day having ads turned on, we have shown that we have deserved ourselves some time off and time away. Next week is a great time for time off because I'm getting a full week off from the day job. Although because I don't have to work, I'm working 2 days to start forward. And I'm spending some time with my parents in their cabin in the middle of nowhere. So internet may be spotty someplace. Good time to take some time off. But what we're looking for you or from you is to just kind of check out some old stuff, stay engaged, and keep liking and sharing and subscribing to stuff. So we're back in 2 weeks. Now, nothing special, nothing fancy. Just be loved, be great. We're happy to reach this milestone. We've done this over a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of stress, and just all with you guys. So thank you for all that you've done to help us get to where we are. And thank you so much for just being here. Now, very quickly, we're going to get to the sponsors for the day, or the partners, I should say. We are powered by partnerships, and we use the platform buymeacoffee.com to get our partnerships going. These are monthly subscriptions to the Conversation Project to help us get things along and to be my de facto board of directors. Harold Braxton, Colby Green, Eldon Kidd in the cup of coffee level, that's $5. And Joy Winters at the $1 level, spare change. Yes, we keep that out there because we can use a spare change. Now that we're getting a bit more revenue from other places, we hope to have more things engaging that can keep us going forward. But one thing that helps me know that we're doing great work is you guys literally opening up your wallets, going to our sponsors. There are also spots for one-time donations using all the popular apps that are out there, and using Buy Me a Coffee to keep things going. So check it out. If you think that we're good enough, let me know. Email me. We can chat it up. If you know we're good enough, you feel we're good enough, go ahead and use that subscription via Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link at our partnerships page at our website to get that monthly subscription, and it will help us grow immensely. As we go into this week of Thanksgiving, I want to give immense thanks to all of you folks out there who have been with us through the journeys. This has been about 3.5, 4-year journey doing this show in various ways, getting to where it is. It's been an over 2-year journey where my house was hit by a tornado and nearly destroyed, not totally destroyed. So it didn't take as much effort to get it back to going, but oh, so it did. And then once we got to the main stages, yeah, sometimes your contractors can fail you a bit. Through all the strife, through all the troubles, through all the things I've done, all the iterations I've had in this project, going back to the original thought process of this being a quiz show or being a survey place, and just the years that I've been trying to do all this business stuff, I just want to say thank you. I want to give thanks to you on this part of this week of Thanksgiving before we get out of here. So I'm going a little long. We will get to things you might ought to know as quickly as we can, but I'm going a little long, saying thank you for all you folks who, one, stuck around for 31 minutes to see this part, and two, understand that this internet fame thing, or just trying to do something and get a little love out of it, get some attention, is a hard thing to do. Getting on the internet and having people, opening myself to be called an idiot every single day, is interesting work. And now that it's paying off some, it's great work. Not quite paying off like I'd like it to, but hey, we have time to become PewDiePie. We have a lot of time. Well, not that much time because I'm much older. But I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. Family, friends, people I do not know, people who I'll never know, people who just kind of see some things and feel sorry for the guy and send me a couple bucks. Trust me, those couple bucks help me keep going. And people who have been in this thing for a long run. So the partners, yay for them. The many friends and other folks have done stuff. They will get their thanks next week while I'm doing special shout outs to people directly. About to you guys out there who just happen to stumble across this video and don't know what the hell you got into, you get a thank you as well. Hopefully it keeps you around. Hopefully you'll enjoy what we had today. You'll subscribe and be back come next Monday. 2 Mondays from now. Not next Monday. Next Monday would not be it because we're going to take the week off. I just said those words. So we'll be coming back in December. See you in December. The 2nd, to be exact. 4 things you might have heard. There'll be 10 stories that day from the weekend that we got into. Or maybe we'll just recap the week. Something big may happen on Thursday. And we'll go that one. But as normal, 10 stories Monday morning, and then the regular week of stuff. But we will have things you might ought to know. We're going to tape those ahead and try to do some fun things with that. So you have that all week long. With that, I've talked way too much. I'm going way too long. And you guys don't particularly care at this point. If you're here, love you, mean it. We'll see you in this forum in 2 weeks.